Hi guys, just wanted to do a quick comparison of these two watches, pretty much just a visual side by side. There's a subscriber to my channel that is thinking about one of these watches as a first Rolex and an everyday watch, if I'm not wrong. And I think he said it might be his kind of his only watch or his only high-end watch. So they're quite different, obviously. One's, there's the white and the black. There's the rotating bezel versus the fixed bezel. There's, the older, this is about 20 years old. So it comes with this thinner case. And this is kind of one of the more modern ones. It doesn't have the lug holes for the tool. It has the solid end link bracelet. But the center links are still hollow on this generation. It's also got the folded steel clasp, and this being a non-dive watch, it's got the small clasp. The Submariners are slightly larger and they have dive extensions, but this is just a very simple. Sorry, it's not focusing very well. It's just got the few micro adjusts there. Very simple, lightweight, and some people think it's pretty chintzy these days, but I'm not in that camp. I think the bracelets are fantastic on these. They're super comfortable. They're no worse than the new ones. They're just different. The real biggest difference is that there's no micro adjustability without a tool. So there's tons of space. There's probably, what's that, close to 3/4 of an inch, I'd say. So that's a lot more than a length. That's probably almost 2 links of adjustability in terms of size. So that would give you a lot of adjustability, but you do need a tool, even if it's just a little paper clip or something. You can see I scratched it up a bit doing it, which is kind of a pain. So that's something and I have a larger wrist, and I think for that reason mine changes a bit more than someone with a very slim wrist, or someone who's like very slim and doesn't have a lot of kind of meat on their bones. I think my wrist changes more than a smaller wrist, I think, because I end up having to change the size quite a bit. And I also live in Canada with extreme temperature changes, so I do need to change the bracelet, unless I'm just happy with it being loose a lot of the time, which I don't like that. So I do end up changing it. I've got you can count the links if you want. I can't remember how many links, but this is a good setup. This number of links on the largest. Also, the other thing is it'll scratch up your bracelet a bit more if you were to put it in the smallest size. It'll just scratch up the couple of links that are underneath the bracelet. It's not a big deal, but so that's just something to consider. So as I say, for the bracelet, the biggest difference is that you don't have a tool-free micro adjust, and that can be a drag. Apart from that, the movements are pretty similar. This does have some upgrades to the movement itself, which include a different type of shock resistance, but that doesn't mean it might be just a slight improvement, you know what I mean? It's not revolutionary, but it's more shock resistant. It's more anti-magnetic. So they've always been anti-magnetic, but this is very anti-magnetic with the parachrome blue hairspring. So yeah, it's got better hairspring, it's got better shock resistance, it's got better lume, it's got a different generation of lume, which really makes a big difference. You can also see clearly that there's a lot more lume. It's not just that it's a better lume, but there's a lot more lume. It's easiest to see on the minute hands. The older ones, I have to apologize about the camera, but in person, the minute hand on the newer generation is a lot more lume. This is almost like a slit. At night it just looks like a very thin line, like smaller than a toothpick, of lume on the older ones. So yeah, the lume makes a big difference. Now for these two particular models, there's a big difference in thickness, which I'll try to show. You can you can really tell on the wrist when you're wearing it. This model, the Sea Dweller, is a lot heavier, so this would have completely solid bracelet. The center links are solid, whereas these are still hollow. You can't really, you can just see, yeah, if you can see through my finger, there's like they're hollow. It's just a folded piece of metal, whereas this is completely milled out, completely solid all the way through. It doesn't make it really any better. It'll last better, and it won't stretch probably the same way that these used to. They call it stretching when the pin that is on the screw, these screwed in pins will actually wear down, and there'll be a lot more space in between the links, so it kind of it looks like it's been stretched out. I don't think it's the center links actually stretching, it's just that it gets worn down and there's less metal holding it tightly together. So I think they've done some things. I think there might even be some ceramic or like some type of sleeve where it won't wear down as much, but I'm not sure about that, so you'd have to look into that. But yeah, it's just a lot heavier, like what we were talking about. This doesn't have any micro adjusts in terms of the holes like the old ones. This is just the micro adjust is just the bracelet slides in and out, so it's brilliant. It's one of the best features of the watch, and it's hard to go back. That's the one thing that's hard to go back to the older generations that don't have that adjustability. But of course that only comes with the dive watches, so the modern ones don't have that. They have some other features like comfort link, I think they call it, where it just swings around a bit. So anyway, I'm just rambling now, but I like to watch videos sometimes where they're just showing two watches together and you can kind of see what they look like. And I couldn't really recommend one over the other. For if I were only gonna have one, of course I think I'd go with the Sea Dweller. But at the same time, this has a lot going for it. It's more comfortable to wear, and it's great just casual watch that just kind of blends in, and it doesn't get a lot of attention, which can be nice. This is, this is a lot glossier with the glossy ceramic, and oh, another thing too is that I've been stopping wearing so much black. I used to wear a lot of black, but I've realized it's not a great color to wear, really. It is for some people, but I think most people would be better off with navy or charcoal or dark brown or some color, so the black can get a bit boring, whereas the white is more interesting, I think, and you get more of just the silver color. So it's it's really about preference, but if you want all the features, the new generation are great. If you don't mind the super case, which means just like the thicker lugs and the chunky, everything's a bit chunkier, the bracelet's heavier, and it's just I don't know, people sometimes say like, oh yeah, it'll definitely be better if it's heavier and it's a solid bracelet now, but it's really a matter of preference, and it's not necessarily better. But I think the glide lock is necessarily better, and I think ceramic, if you are going with a rotating bezel, the ceramic is better because it will hold up a lot better. But some people like patina more, so it's really up to you. So that's just a quick video. I guess it wasn't that quick after all, but just showing these two watches, so hopefully somebody gets a use out of it. Thanks, bye.